For me, ambition was never the problem. I was the most ambitious, laziest person you're ever going to meet 15 years ago. And it was realizing, wait, just because I'm lazy by nature doesn't mean I have to be lazy in actuality. Like, I can actually get the discipline to develop real drive to acquire those skills. So when I met the guys that are now my partners, they put me into a scenario where there was a very real world consequence, both positive and negative, for living up to the acquisition of skills. And that environment, that gladiator pit that I ended up stepping into was the business world. And the great thing is when you're no longer an employee and it's your business and everything you have is on the line, and if the business fails, you lose your house, like that's real.
Yeah.
It's real to you in a way that it's not to an employee, right? Because now there's a real consequence that goes beyond, well, I have to look for another job, right? This goes into, I could lose everything if I can't solve this problem. Now that can scare you away and keep you wanting to be an employee where it's a little bit safer, or that can be wildly motivating to you. And that was interesting to me. So I wanted to be able to say, the harder I work, the better result I get. And they gave me the opportunity to plug into business where that became true. If I could solve these problems, if I could build a better product, if I could market it better, whatever, that better results came. And so there was like now a connection between how hard I work, the skills I acquire, and the reward I get. That was all I needed. And then for me, being in that loop allowed me to do things like the gym. I believe that the purpose in life, to be great, you have to acquire as many skills as you can that have utility, and then put that utility to the test. Because now you can see, did I actually get the skill that I thought I got? Did I get the result from that skill that I wanted? And you can judge both what skills you need to acquire and whether you have effectively required them. And business like that is the closest thing to, say, MMA fighting, right? MMA is, you want real-time feedback on whether you're learning and getting good at something. Let someone whose sole intent is to take your head off come in and test whether you can defend a choke or defend an armbar. It's so real and so visceral. Either it's pure metaphor or there's no metaphor, right? Like you were in that moment. So finding ways that business can be like that, for me, allowed me to create a set of values out of pure efficiency. The one thing I can't give you ambition. I can't make you want something, right? I can't want it for you. But once you want something, now you plug into something very real. So I talk about this 25 bullet points is the Quest belief system. And in that is the belief that you can acquire skills, that the human mind and human potential is nearly limitless, right? So you start putting all this stuff together and it's like, okay, essentially everything falls on my shoulders. If I want to be great, it's all down to me and whether I execute on that or not. It's all down to my ability to say, this is the thing I want. This is the gap in skill set between who I am today and who I need to become in order to acquire that thing that I want. Like for me, I want to end metabolic disease globally, right? So now I know what set of skills I need. Right, I'm going to have to understand nutrition really well. I'm going to have to understand psychology really well in order to build this business. I'm going to have to understand just business in general to get the metrics right so that people can afford to buy these products, on and on and on. So you can identify the skill sets that you need, and then you get to test them, right? Because if I have learned the wrong skills or failed to learn a skill that I thought I had, the business doesn't grow, right? So you have this feedback loop. And really my value system was born out of that. I was so clear about what I wanted to accomplish that I could just test the skills that I was getting, and that sort of desire to accurately assess and acquire skills really is my value system. We're miserable building this company that's a product we don't care about. Step one, what do we love? What do we care about? And what would we do and love doing even if we were failing? And that was the question that we asked ourselves. So, okay, the thing that we would do for 3 very different reasons is to make this food that people choose based on taste and it happens to be good for them. Then as you know, we're starting to do the company, honestly, you're looking at what's working and what's not working, and you're relentlessly self-assessing. So it was just clear to me that people didn't think the way that we thought. So the 3 of my partners and I, Ron and Mike and myself, we think a very certain way, right? What we call the Quest way. Because they had developed that over the School of Hard Knocks and starting businesses and failing, they were able to bring me along much later in the process. But because I knew nothing about what they had learned up to that point and they weren't teaching me, they just drugged me into deep waters. I had to learn. And because the way my mind works, I was processing that into basically a list of, okay, here are the lessons I've learned. I was codifying it, right? Turning it into a map for success that I could hand to other people. And that ultimately became the 25 bullet points that are the Quest belief system. As we're going and I realize in my head I've got these, what I didn't know at the time was 25 bullet points. But anyway, I've got this way of thinking. And I'm encountering these employees that don't think like that. That was really when I started to realize there's a gap between who people are and what they tell you they want to accomplish. Because in the beginning, I hired everyone. Not because I'm super smart and thought, hey, I should. There was no one else, right? Like we had the smallest handful of people ever. And so I started doing the interviewing. As I was doing it, I start realizing, God, these guys tell me they want to do something amazing with their life. And if you just listen, like, wow, yeah, like I want to be on your team, dude. You're going to do amazing stuff. And then you realize they can't execute on that dream. You walk in the door, there's a couple bad things happening. One, your anxiety levels are through the roof because you're in this weird setting. You're on my turf. You're sitting across from me. They've built me up. Oh, it's the president of the company. So people come in, and if you like put your fingers on their aorta, their arteries, and you're gonna, you know, the heart's gonna be just racing out of control. So that's problem number one. The blood is literally leaving the prefrontal cortex, and they're just in a bad state.
They probably want to say anything to get the job.
So people come in, they want to be picked, right?
Yes.
Being picked is awesome.
Accepted, acknowledged, chosen, yes.
I teach people about the tyranny of being chosen, and I still have to check myself.
Yeah.
Because it's just rad to be picked. Like, there's no two ways about it. So they walk in, they're nervous as hell, they've got the tyranny of being chosen, they want to win the job, they're not trying to assess the opportunity, they're not asking, is this job right for me? They're merely trying to be selected. So step one is, hey, welcome. I understand this is a very weird situation, so I want to bring your anxiety levels down as much as possible. You should be interviewing me. You should be kicking my tires and figuring out if I'm right for you. You're offering to give me 50% of your waking hours. You better love this job. Like, for some reason, this job better be moving you towards what you want for selfish reasons. So literally, I open the interview by saying that and then saying, I'm here to answer one question and one question only. When you're at your most selfish, are you good for me? And when I'm at my most selfish, am I good for you? Your employees are not sinister. They're not trying to bring you down. They just don't feel significant in your business. So they are lurching, they're groping in the dark to find significance. And once you understand that, I can provide you significance, and then you can go on and do something. So communication, but very specifically, understanding where the other person is coming from